Hey guys, if you've been watching my channel for some time, one thing that I talk about, which is the major side effect that I have gotten from taking anabolics, specifically when I rose the doses past a certain point, was an increase in blood pressure within a range which was not healthy at all. It was getting to a state of hypertension, it's called, which if you have for too long, it's not a good thing. Like, high blood pressure by itself isn't a bad thing. Sometimes, like, say when you work out, your blood pressure can go up to like 180 over 100, right? Which is like, if that was prolonged, if that was chronic, that would be unhealthy. But you know, at certain times, it's not a bad thing, right? But the problem is when it becomes chronic, high blood pressure, normal blood pressure range generally for men is like 120 over 80. But as soon as you get past 130, then it starts getting in like the orange range. You know, I like to think of it like a rev, like you're revving your engine, it gets orange. And then once you get past like 150 for sure, it starts to get within the red range. And if that's the case, if it's like chronic, like if you just measure throughout the day, every day, which everybody should be doing anyway, at least a few times a week if you're working out. I have a blood pressure machine at my gym and at the pharmacy I go to pretty regularly, so every time I'm in there, I put my arm in the thing. And since I started when I started taking Primobolan, and it was around 400 milligrams a week of test and 400 milligrams a week of Primobolan. I had a little bit of HGH at the time, and my blood pressure went fucking 155 over 90 over 100, and I was feeling like shit. I was having headaches nonstop for 2 weeks at a time. I was feeling dizzy when I like stood up too fast. Just feeling like, I felt like shit, to be honest. And part of me was like, well, what's the point of taking steroids if I feel like shit? It's affecting my gym. You know what I mean? I couldn't go with the same intensity. My head was pounding and my veins were popping out the side of my temples. So I then dialed back things a little bit, and I think I actually dialed back from 500 test Primo to 400. And at that point, it was still elevated, but it wasn't. Eventually, I felt a little better, okay? And then on my new cycle, I dialed the test back to 300 and then added in 50 milligrams every other day of Masteron and 50 milligrams every other day of NPP, and measured my blood pressure periodically, and it was still in that orange range, which is, I call slightly elevated, slight hypertension, which I can tolerate for short periods of time, but I still want it to be optimal. Like, ideally, you want your ranges to be in the healthiest range that you want, because that's just for a long term. Like, it's just for long term steroid use, you want it to be within a healthy range, because this is one of the main concerns and dangers of steroids is you get something called left ventricular hypertrophy, the ventricle being the chamber in your heart, the left one, which is pumping fluid out, and if it needs to pump harder because of higher blood pressure, then the wall of the heart thickens. And when the wall of the heart thickens, then the volume within that ventricle becomes less. And when the volume becomes less, then you have heart disease. Then you can have heart failure eventually. So that's not a good thing. And you don't want to be blasting necessarily steroids with this high blood pressure without some type of way to mitigate it. And the reason why, there's, I think, a few reasons why you get high blood pressure on steroids. One is due to the renal aldosterone system, which is part of the kidneys, which are hormones, which RAAS, it's called, system, which then controls blood pressure within the body, because the kidneys, long story short, control blood pressure because essentially urinating controls blood pressure because of blood volume levels, okay? The other way it can increase blood pressure is because it increases blood viscosity, which is the thickness of the blood. And think about if your blood's like molasses and your heart's got to pump molasses through all of the highways, you know, being your arteries and veins, and it's got to pump harder, and then therefore higher blood pressure. So that's two. Another one could be some vasoconstriction that might happen. So the one medication like you can take is something that helps that RAS. So something that could be an ACE inhibitor, I believe, or tamoxifen. What's the one drug I'm thinking? Tamoxifen or something? I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head the exact drug, but there are some I've looked into that you could take, although they also have potential side effects as well. But another drug that might take, which bodybuilders take, which I'm learning about now, and I'm thinking about getting into, is Cialis. And Cialis is known for its effect on the penis, primarily blood flow to the penis for erectile dysfunction. But a lot of people don't know that the drug was originally used and researched for blood pressure because of its effect on the blood flow. And what it does is it vasodilates, which means it makes your veins go bigger, which means your heart essentially doesn't pump as hard. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's the case. I could be wrong, but I think that's what's happening. And then as a result, you have a decrease in blood pressure. Now there might be other mechanisms involved here, I'm sure there are, but that's what I'm going to use, I believe, in very small doses. So if you're looking for a big penis pump over the weekend and you're having a good time with your girl or some prostitutes or something, then you probably take like a 25 milligram dose. But if you take a lower dose down to 5 milligrams, it can decrease your blood pressure as well. Use as a pre-workout, essentially. Increase blood flow to the muscles themselves, which is ideal for what? A pump. So I think, and that's what a lot of bodybuilders, I've learned just in recent weeks, do use it for. I believe there are some side effects with Cialis as well. It's not something that I thought I would be taking, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to try that out to manage the blood pressure, just to bring my blood pressure down from 130 to 140 over 80 down to the 120s at least. If I'm in the 120s over 80 range, I'm fine, totally fine with my blood pressure, and that would be good for me. So that's what I'm trying it for, especially because right now my doses of steroids aren't even that high. And, well, it's all relative, right? It's higher than a TRT dose. For some bodybuilders, I'm doing like a cruise right now. But for me, it's like a slight elevated HRT dose. But I'm going to titrate the doses up in the next month and 2 months. And I don't want to do that at the risk of my heart blood pressure going too high. So, has anybody who's listening to this take Cialis for any type of reason, for erectile dysfunction, for blood pressure, for pumps at the gym? What is your experience with that? Has anybody heard of this, or have any questions about that? Please leave it in the comment section below. I'm hoping that not just the blood pressure, I hope to get those pumps. I hope to get that penis pump too, whatever, who cares? If it's a beneficial side effect, there's nothing wrong with that. I know that like even taking like L-arginine, the effects on the nitric oxide in the blood for vasodilation, I've felt that with great effects. There's sexual great effects with other types of natural herbal things that you can take, and amino acids and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm kind of curious about it. I'm going to order some probably in the next few days off just a basic steroid website in Canada. 5 milligram tablets, not 25 milligrams. So that'd be a bit overkill, I think. I don't want to be like an erection that lasts like 3 days or something. But yeah, just joking aside. You know, I'm excited to see primarily how it affects the blood pressure. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.